John from theproductivegarden.com, and I'm here with another Tuesday's tip. Now, have you ever had a situation where you've had plants that just aren't thriving very well? You've been composted them, you've added fertilizer, you've looked for diseases or pests and you can't find anything? There's no visible reason why these plants shouldn't be going well. Well, one thing that you can do to eliminate a cause is do a simple pH test. Now, even if your plants are doing well, or if you haven't got any plants yet, it's probably worth doing a pH test anyway. Now, what the pH test does is tests the acidity or alkalinity of your soil. Now, some plants prefer a slightly alkaline soil, some plants prefer a slightly acid soil. So if you haven't planted yet and you plan to, then testing the pH of your soil can help you decide what sort of plants you want to plant, or if you want to plant plants that aren't going to be compatible with the pH of your soil, then you'll know what you need to do to amend that soil so that it is a pH that's going to cater for the plants that you want to plant. Anyway, let's have a look at how we test this pH, and we'll see how my garden beds go. Now, I've taken a sample from my 5 garden beds, and we'll test that and we'll see how they go. Let's have a look. Alright, so here we are with our 5 soil samples from our different gardens. Now, this is garden 1, this is the oldest garden of the lot. Garden bed 2, 3, 4 and 5, and that's where I've just planted the 3 sisters planting. So we'll test these different samples and see how each garden bed compares. Now, to do the pH test on this kit anyway, and most kits will be very similar, you put a bit of the indicator on each sample. Okay, now put a couple of drops on each one. So on that one, just break it up a bit. Some on the inside there. Okay, now it's important just to clean, if you're doing a few samples, it's important just to clean the stick off a bit, just so you don't cross-contaminate the samples. It's pretty much broken up, so I won't need a stick for that terribly much. A couple of drops here, and some drops on this one. Rightio. So there you go, we've got the indicator on. Now we've got this white powder, which is basically just gives you something to see the colour on, because now it all just looks pretty dark. But once you put the white powder on, it'll give you something to be able to see the actual colour of the dye. It'll soak up the colour. This powder can be a real problem to get out sometimes. Okay, so we'll just let that powder suck up the colour of the indicator, the colour it's gone to. And I think one of the best things about a pH test is it is the test that you can do at home cost effectively by yourself. So if you're not sure about your soil, if you've got a problem and you can't put it down to anything else, then a pH test is just a real easy, low cost test that you can do by yourself to test for trace minerals and stuff. You can't do that at home by yourself. You've got to take it to a soil lab. And the thing with the pH in the soil is if the pH is too alkaline or too acid, it can bind up some of the minerals, some of the trace elements in the soil that your plants need, and it also, if it's too acid, there can be too much aluminium that your soil could have access to, and something like aluminium toxicity can happen in your plants. So having the pH right is pretty important. It's good to get that right. So there you go, we've got the colour here now. So if we go to our colour chart so we can see what they are, we can see here that if we look at, this is bed 1, it's probably 7 to 8, so 7.5 to 8, so slightly alkaline. Bed 2 is pretty much the same, 7 to 8, probably more 8 there. That's very similar as well for bed 3, 7 to 8 sort of thing. Bed 4, this has got a lot more of my compost in there, and it might be more alkaline because I put a bit of ash from our fire in the compost, and that'll tend to make things alkaline, so that's probably why it's probably, I know, an 8.5 to 9, so it might be a little bit too alkaline. Okay, and bed 5, where the corn is, that's pretty solid 7.5, so that should be pretty good. So most of my beds are alright, could probably do, they're probably not too bad, I'd probably leave them. That one there, I might just put a bit more chicken poo and that sort of stuff in there, it might sort of fix up, and as the bed ages, you'll probably find, you can see there's some grain there, so it's obviously not too bad, it's more an 8 than an 8.5, I think. Yeah, so very easy to do, and it gives you a general guide. It might not be absolutely perfect, but it'll give you a good idea of whether you're too acid or too alkaline, or whether you're in a nice neutral spot. Okay, that's this Tuesday's tip. I hope you found it interesting, and as always, if you have something you would like me to do for a Tuesday's tip, or you have a tip that you would like me to share with other people, then leave a comment down below and I'll see what I can do to get that Tuesday's tip up and going. Okay, so that's it for now, and until next time, happy productive gardening. Bye.